Hey, what's up guys, my name is Sidego, and today I'm going to be doing a review of the new KSI album, Dissimulation. This is KSI's first ever solo project. It's his second ever album. He released his first album last year with Randolph that was titled New Age. I think KSI's music has been getting better and better, so I was excited to see what he could do on this project. The album is 12 tracks and lasts about 34 minutes. The album definitely doesn't overstay its welcome. Then yeah, without further ado, let's just get into it. KSI went from a YouTube boxer to a pro boxer, so let's see now if he can step up from YouTube rapper and become a mainstream artist. The first song on the album is called What You Been On. I think it's a great intro track. It sets the vibe of the album up perfectly. It's got this moody tone, and it starts with these blaring, sinister synth noises. KSI drops two good verses, with a few ad-libs in the background. The only problem I have with this song is that it's short at 1 minute 59 seconds, but that's acceptable because it is the opening track on the album and it's only trying to set a mood. It's not trying to blow us away or anything. Overall, I think it is a good song and it's a decent opening track. The next track on the album is called Cap, featuring Offset. In my opinion, this is probably going to be one of the biggest songs off the album, if not the biggest. It starts with a nice big blaring bass, when KSI comes in with his deep evil vocals, which in my opinion is one of the strong points of the album. His delivery is very cold, and it fits his deep voice perfectly. Offset delivers a solid verse. I don't think you could ask for much more from an Offset feature. KSI holds a solid flow throughout the song, with bars about winning and fake friends. My only problem with the song is that the chorus is a bit uncreative. It's just KSI saying "with no cap" 10 times. I think it would have been better if we got a better hook, like on Down Like That or Poppin'. The start of the hook's still nice though. Overall, it is a decent song, it's just not one of my favourites off the album. The next track was a pre-release, it's called Poppin', featuring Smoke Perp and Lil Pump. It's got a very catchy hook from KSI and Smoke Perp. Pump drops a verse filled with the usual Pump topics, money, guns, drugs, but he does save it with a hilarious line, "Look at my wrist, Corona, my neck got Ebola." I think this is one of Smoke Perp's best features. He adds to the hook and it gives a good verse. But again, KSI is the standout voice. It's impressive how KSI doesn't let his features take the wheel, even though some of them are a lot more experienced than he is. He holds his own exceptionally in this album. I don't understand this narrative that KSI gets saved by his features. I don't think that's the case at all. I think if anything, KSI is the standout voice on every single song on this album, bar one, which I will get to. But overall, this is a decent song, and I quite like it. The next song has a totally different vibe to any other track on the album so far. It's called Houdini, featuring Swarms and Tion Wayne. I think Swarms delivers a great hook that's very sticky. It sets the vibe of the track perfectly. It's got quite a Jamaican feel to it. And out of nowhere, KSI comes in and slips into a Jamaican accent, and he somehow pulls it off. Also, there's a solid feature from Tion Wayne at the back end of the track. Overall, it's one of my favourites off the album, and I can see why it charted so highly. The next song on the album is called Bad Lil Vibe, featuring Mr. Birthday Sex himself, Jeremiah. It's yet another sticky hook. KSI's choice of features has been solid so far on the album. All the hooks so far have been held by a feature. I wouldn't count What You Been On a hook, more of a question. The only hook KSI has handled by himself has been Cap, which is my least favourite hook on the album. Luckily, he does pull off some solid hooks by himself later on in the album. Back to the song, KSI uses auto-tune, which I have no problem with, as Travis Scott is one of my favourite artists. He is reaching a bit with his vocals. I think the darker vocals fit in better. Overall, another solid song. There's not much else to say. The next song on the album is called Wake Up Call, featuring Trippie Redd. Another song, but was released before the album. In my opinion, this is the only song where KSI is outshone by his feature. I think Trippie Redd's vocals slot right into this beat, which has a bit of a retro feel to it. He delivers one of my favourite hooks on the album. There is a good verse on there from KSI, but the beat and Trippie's vocals and hook, they really sell the song for me on this one. The next track is called Killer Killer. There seems to be a common theme popping up on this album, that there is only one bad hook on the whole album, and it's not even that bad. Again, another hook held by the feature, which is Ayana Lee, in case I forgot to mention. Some nice vocals and KSI speaking quietly in the background really adds to the track. Auto-tune is working well for JJ on this track. He dropped some great verses about relationships and how his money affects them. Overall, another great track, one I enjoy quite a lot. This next track is one of the main tracks off this album. It's called Domain. See what I did there? It starts with these deep choir hums, which sets a sinister vibe, which complements KSI perfectly. When the beat kicks in, KSI delivers a great hook. He then drops possibly his best verses on the album. He keeps a great flow throughout the song, and no criticisms from me on this one. I think it's a great track. The next song on the album is KSI's biggest song of all time, arguably, Lamborghini. I'm joking, of course, it's Down Like That. In my opinion, this is one of KSI's best songs, if not the best. It's got a great melodic hook from SX. It's got some great features from Lil Baby and Rick Ross. There's a great verse from KSI on there, and some fantastic production from SX. I've got to give a huge shout out to him. It's some of the best production on the album. Again, no complaints on this song. The second to last track on this album is called Undefeated. It's got a great beat straight off the bat. It's got another sticky hook from KSI. The track starts off with some slurred vocals from JJ while he raps about alcohol, which I think is a nice touch. He then breaks into his usual cold, authoritative tone and delivers a couple of great verses again. One thing I really like about this album is KSI has quite clearly stepped up his rapping ability. I feel like Randolph's rapping ability has really rubbed off on KSI, as on this album he's coming in with some of his best verses. Again, no complaints, another great song. The final song on this album is called Millions. It might be one of my favourites as well. It's a perfect closer. It's got a slurred chorus from KSI which works perfectly for the vibe of the song. He drops a great verse about his beef with his brother, I assume. One of the most personal KSI songs apart from maybe Noob. The song's all about his aspirations and how he tries not to let people get in the way of them. But obviously it doesn't always work out with people close to him. Overall, I think this might be one of my favourite ever KSI songs, never mind just off the album. And I think it's a great track to close the album, which has been a very solid project from KSI. I think it is a better project than New Age, but without further ado, let me get into my overall thoughts. Getting into my overall thoughts of the album, I think it's a huge improvement from his past works. I think it's a coherent project, good from start to finish, unlike Distractions, which had some great bangers like Little Boy and Adam's Apple, but overall there was a quality drop-off from one song to another. It was the same story with New Age, which had great songs like Beerus and Red Alert, but then some not great ones like Clean and Bow Down. In the future, I think he needs to try some more melodic songs like Transforming. I also think he needs to handle more hooks himself. He needs to get more creative with his features, as Offset, Lil Baby and Lil Pump will always give decent verses, but not really add anything to a track. It would be nice to hear JJ work with some other artists that have an authoritative voice like he does, like Denzel Curry, JPEG Mafia, and even Rick Ross with a track with just him and KSI. Alternatively, a more lyrically adept rapper like JID, Lil TJ or Polo G. Maybe even bringing Randolph back for a track wouldn't be a bad idea. I think a change up in what he's rapping about is needed, because sometimes the subject of money, girls and jewellery can drag a little at parts. Overall, this is a really solid first solo project. It isn't perfect or anything, but KSI's flows and delivery make this one of the best trap banger albums released this year. Saying that, there's not much competition from the underwhelming projects released by Gunna, Lil Baby and Nav. Overall, I'd give it a 7 out of 10. It's a really solid project from JJ and it gets me excited to see what it could do in the future. Well, that was my review of Dissimulation from KSI. If you did enjoy this review or agree with any of the points, feel free to leave a like and subscribe. Comment down below what you thought of the album. Again, this is my first ever YouTube video. I'm sorry if I was a bit awkward. If this video is well received, I'll be sure to make some more in the future. But thank you all for watching and I'll see you next time.